So one of those hardworking people on our board is Lisa Miller, who will introduce our speaker.
Rabbi Menachem Creditor serves as scholar in residence at UJA Federation, New York, and is the founder of Rabbis Against Gun Violence. Rabbi Creditor has authored and edited many books, including A Rabbi's Heart and After October 7th essays. With millions of views of his daily Torah videos and essays, his leadership has helped shape national conversations of gun violence prevention, LGBTQ inclusion, Zionism, interfaith organizing, and Jewish diversity. Rabbi Creditor's music, including the well-known song Olam Chesed Yabana, is sung in communities around the world. He is a senior lecturer at the Academy for Jewish Religion and speaks widely about the role of faith in building a more compassionate world. He and his wife, Neshama Karlbach, live in New York, where they are raising their 5 children. Without further ado, Rabbi Creditor.
Hayom te'amtzenu hayom tevarchenu hayom tegadleinu amen. Hayom te'amtzenu hayom tevarchenu hayom Tegadleinu, amen. Today make us courageous. Today may we be blessed. Today may we be reminded to be our full size in the world. You might not know those words because they happen at the end of services on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. So if I did one thing, it's to tell you, stick around, go to shul, stay until the very end, and you'll be glad. And the people who were going to be there already will be really glad you stuck around too. To begin with Hakarat HaTov, with gratitude, which is actually the theme of what I'm going to be sharing, I wanted to say, and I know that you know, how blessed you are to have Rabbi Paul Resnick at the helm professionally of the work that you do. Among the many things that are not listed on his resume, but stand him in incredible good stead with people like me, is that when people like me were 13, he gave us a second chance. As someone who was a camper at Ramah Berkshires, I needed that second chance. And so I recognize my teacher and now my friend for making sure that I could see more in myself than my 13-year-old self was able. We are in a moment where gratitude is incredibly important, but in order to understand exactly why, we should take a second and say, what does that even mean? What is gratitude, especially from a Jewish standpoint? And as we begin that conversation, how could we possibly say anything before acknowledging how hard gratitude can be on day 709 since October 7th? And in a world like ours, where this country is roiled by so much chaos, and our homeland is roiled not only from external threats, from internal divisions. Right before October 7th, Yossi Klein Halevi, a dear teacher of mine, an incredible writer that I hope you're all aware of, before October 7th were 10 months of protests against the government's attempt to reform the judicial system in Israel. Whatever the merits, whatever the problems were, it showed real dissension in Israeli society. So Yossi said, on October 6th, we were at each other's throats, but on October 8th, we were on each other's shoulders. For a while, that was true. We need that to be true for much longer, and not only in reaction to external hurt. And so I name that context not to bring you down, and you didn't need me to recite the headlines. But that's the world that we live in, and in order to understand the importance of gratitude, it's really important for us to be grounded in the moment. How could our prayers this coming Yamim Noraim, this coming high holiday season, how could they be serious if they aren't real? Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel famously said, if prayer is to be real, it has to be somewhat subversive. It has to be trying to change the world, to ask God to be involved in changing the world. If you're the kind of person who prays and isn't sure about God, the God within helping you to be the agent of that positive change, it all works in the same direction. So let's focus on gratitude for a moment, because of all the ways I believe we can get to a place of making deeper impact in the world for the sake of Am Yisrael and for the sake of the world itself, gratitude helps. Psychologists even suggest that character education largely fails. When we try to cultivate certain aspects of our character, changing at a certain point is hard. We become hard-baked after adolescence. Change is hard as we get older. But there's one facet of our character that we can influence through practice, which is gratitude. You can become more grateful. And of all the Jewish practices I cherish, and I cherish all of them, is waking up in the morning, even and especially when I don't feel like it, which is some mornings, and saying what I'm supposed to say, which is Modeh ani lefanecha. I am so grateful to you, my Creator. And that tells you one thing about gratitude. It's not transactional. I didn't earn this day. None of us did. We don't earn our days. We're granted our days. We ask for more days. We try to batter open the gates of heaven until the very last second of Ne'ilah, the end of Yom Kippur. And then tradition tells us that the gates of tshuva, the gates of repentance, stay open until Hoshana Rabbah, days later. But the truth is, we are not the people that believes that repentance is only possible on scheduled days. I'm so grateful about that. What did we do to earn that? And the moment that we become even more bearing about that, you might know the Barbra Streisand melody, you might know the fish cover, but you also might know it from the Machzor. Avinu Malkeinu. Just one of those moments, and when Yom Kippur is on Shabbat, it's such an absence. But Avinu Malkeinu, we end with a song, at least many communities do, and it says, Chonenu va'anenu, God grace us and answer us. Ki ein banu ma'asim, because we have no deeds to show for ourselves. If the world and its blessings were transactional, we wouldn't say that. If we believed we were getting what was coming to us because of the actual accounting of our deeds, what would that prayer mean? If we were expecting justice for our own failures, that would be a very different spiritual posture. What we say instead is, I've got nothing to show for myself, but God, love me anyway. That's gratitude. Gratitude is great. Gratitude means receiving more than you could possibly ever think you deserve and saying thank you. That is the essential business of the Jewish community. Federations throughout their history have made sure never to allow Jewish values to become transactional. You do not help take care of the community in Afula because of what Afula can do for you. It's our obligation to take care of the world. We don't help survivors of domestic violence because of what they will do for us. No, that's our role. We're here to do that work. And because of cultivating gratitude every morning, this incredible Jewish value of hakarat hatov, seeing the good and saying the good, we're practicing it all the time. Every morning we get up and we say thank you. I mean, I hope you do not take for granted how gorgeous your physical world is. I work in New York City. I like what I do. It doesn't look like this. I don't work near the natural world. I can't praise the Creator for the beautiful horses and cows and trees. I can go to Central Park, it's not the same. And the kind of care that you show your sacred homes, and please God, how you will continue to share those sacred homes. You have so much to be grateful for. And it's so important to be grateful because I could, instead of introducing all of these thoughts the way that I have, point to how hard the world has been. You walked in these doors. We all know these faces. When I walk into my office, I see Shiri and Ariel and Kfir and Oded Lifshitz. That's who I see. I'm sure you do too. There are too many faces and names for us to name. I don't want to leave anybody out. Those are the four that I always say first. Gratitude helps me live forward through the real moments that include those precious faces and souls that we lost, and through the incredibly complicated moment of our 48 beloveds who aren't yet home. Gratitude is in our texts, it is in our davening, it is in our hearts. I hope it's part of our personal practice. It's not only an attitude, it's a discipline. Brene Brown and other leading thinkers and authors point to gratitude as the way to get forward in time, healthily. And think about the years, just going back 5.5 years. It's been incessant to all the leaders, volunteer and professional, and specifically a shout out to the clergy in the room. The kind of lifting that we've all had to do, I'd say to parents, to teachers, to all of us. There was no relief from the pandemic. The racial injustice that came to a head and really didn't go anywhere, the invasion of Ukraine, the attack at the Capitol, the attack on our homeland, the attacks on campus. So let's talk about how important gratitude is and where it's shown up. So just 4 very, very short moments in Jewish text where gratitude comes forward. One of them comes in the aftermath of loss. You might know the tradition. It's not in the Torah, but it's related to the Torah, that when Miriam, the prophetess, dies, suddenly we don't have water. It's a juxtaposition of text. It's not explicit. But when she dies, then there isn't water. And the rabbis believe, some of you might have this at your Pesach tables, that a magic well, a miraculous well of water followed Miriam everywhere that she went. And when she died, suddenly the people knew what she had been granting them. And of course that leads to a very Jewish perspective, which is kvetching. But it shows that we have an obligation that sometimes we learn too late to show our gratitude before it's too late. We can continue showing our gratitude after loss. But why wait? There's a beautiful, beautiful re-understanding of when Moshe Rabbeinu, stands with God in advance of all of the plagues. And the first plagues are going to involve the Yeor, the Nile. And according to tradition, again, not Torah, but about the Torah, Moshe didn't want to hurt the water because the water saved him. That's gratitude in a different kind of way. I recognize the good. I mean, I'm looking at Rabbi Resnick, who, no exaggeration. Thank you. When we pay it forward and we recognize it, not only do we have more strength to face whatever comes next, if we are able to do it in the presence of the source of that blessing, what a gift to return. They didn't do it for the acknowledgement. But isn't it nice to say thank you? Hold the door for somebody anyway. But isn't it nice when they say thank you? Doesn't it feel so good? There's another really interesting story. This is straight from the Talmud. There's a character who you probably have never heard of named Dama ben Natina. Right? Some of you might know the story. Dama ben Natina heard about a sale that he could make from a precious jewel that was in his family's possession. It would take care of college tuitions for generations to come, let's say. This is the ancient world. No college tuitions. That was a joke. I have 3 kids in college. It's no joke. But the problem is that the jewel that he would have to sell in order to get that income was under the pillow where his father's head was resting. His father was sleeping. And so the Talmud says he didn't disturb his father. There are moments where caring for our most vulnerable ones, including older members of our community, costs us something. Isn't it beautiful to show respect like that? It's a different way of showing hakarat hatov. It's a different way of showing gratitude, because one day, if we're lucky, we'll be on the receiving end of that care. I see this all the time in my work at Federation, that we actually take turns being the donors and the recipients of the very same services. It is often just a matter of time and circumstance. Right now I'm doing the speaking, and I hope it's not going to be the case. It could be the case that I will need the kind of commitments in the world that federations uniquely bring us together to show. Combined federated giving, it might have gone out of fashion in other parts of the world, but the impact is profound, much more than we'd be able to do individually. Israel, it's no exaggeration, Israel is only doing as well as it is physically and spiritually because of the way the American Jewish community showed up right after October 7th. And in some communities, even on October 7th. Nobody else moved that fast. L'tzarenu hagadol, even the Israeli government didn't move as fast as the American Jewish Federation system did. The kind of organization that we created on a grassroots level for communities in the South, communities in the North, and mobilizers in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem and everywhere in between was only possible because of the kind of gratitude, attitude, and discipline that we have. The final one, the final vignette, is a beautiful one. There's a tradition that when David HaMelech, when King David, who was, among other things, a fine musician, when he went to sleep, there was a harp right above his bed. And again, according to tradition, this is in the Talmud, the harp would play itself. And he would wake up through the night with praise on his lips. Again, as a parent of 5, it's not how I wake up in the middle of the night every time. But I'm so lucky to have my sleep disturbed because my children are growing up and I can help. So I don't sleep so much. I'm sure you don't either. The world is on fire. We don't sleep so much. Especially those who tend to the community, we don't sleep so much at all. But that's another way of learning from the model of God. Hinei lo yanum velo yishan. God neither slumbers nor sleeps. Whatever your theology, isn't that a phenomenal way to think about acting in the world? Exhaustion is for another moment. We should take good care of ourselves. Gratitude will remind us to take care of ourselves, because only by showing gratitude atzmi, personal gratitude, going for a walk, having a good conversation, checking in on a friend, doing those things too, allow us to channel forward our best intentions in the world. Otherwise, how could we be here to be sustained? I want to share with you 2 vignettes, not because they're the only last things to say, but because as we go into the Chagim, and we pray for the world to be reborn, and we re-enter the Holy of Holies, scared that we might get it wrong. And then we build temporary structures that could be blown over by a strong gust, and we ask God to make that a shelter of peace for us, knowing that's all we get in this lifetime. And then Simchat Torah, especially for us, especially these years, Simchat Torah. So I want to give you, the first two are heavy and deep, and the second two, while heavy, are a little bit lighter. So I'm just letting you know. There was a question asked in 1973 around the American Jewish community. Should we celebrate Simchat Torah? And why did that question come up? Because Simchat Torah was just a week after the Yom Kippur War, which anyone who lived through it, anyone who has witnessed, or anyone who's read the history, knows that those Jews alive right then, first of all, not only were shocked by our vulnerability, but used the language of a second Shoah. So rabbis asked, should we dance with the Torah? Should we celebrate? I know this because Elie Wiesel, Zichrono Livracha, wrote a very important essay called Against Despair. He happened to deliver it at a Federation dinner in December of 1973, so let that be encouragement to you all. One day someone will talk about this meal, this moment, and say, oh look, they showed up again, right? We're not Elie Wiesel, but we're us, so that's not bad. And here were his answers. This is where it gets a little bit heavier. He says, I remember 2 vignettes which told all of us that the answer had to be yes, we have to dance. And again, we have to dance. Just imagine, in my mind's eye, since preparing these thoughts, I see Elie Wiesel standing with the dancers of Nova. They're saying that we will dance again. They're both saying it in their own ways. A commitment through time. So he says the first one is on a train to the camps. And there was a rabbi who said, have you forgotten today is Simchat Torah? This is in Elie Wiesel's recollection. He says, don't you know what we're supposed to do on Simchat Torah? And there was no room, but someone had smuggled in a little Sefer Torah onto the train, onto the boxcar. They passed it over to the rabbi, and Elie Wiesel describes that they swayed. They couldn't dance, they couldn't really move, but never before had there been such fervor. And the second vignette he shares is in the kingdom of darkness, as he called it, Auschwitz, where there was no Sefer Torah, but it was Simchat Torah. He said, and an old man, he said, was he really old? No one knows how old anyone is anymore. That's how he said it. So a young child who was so old, and asked the child, do you remember what you learned in Cheder, in Hebrew school and yeshiva? Do you remember what you learned? He says, sure, I do. And the older man says, you remember Shema Yisrael? And the child says, I remember Shema and so much more. And the old man says, Shema will do. And he picked up the child and danced with the child as if the child were the Torah itself. He said, that's why I know we have to dance. And for us, third-hand recipients, God bless you, third-hand recipients of the story, to be so grateful that it was paid forward, that we are able to learn from that story so that it can inform our feet. I'm not really the dancing type, but having read that essay and feeling my soul both crumble and be rebuilt by it, I've been dancing in ways that might be invisible to the people around me, but I've been dancing because I'm not allowed not to. And why? I mean, let me just say it. Just talking to us Jews for a second. And our friends, please God, should celebrate with us, but this is such a tribal thing to say. In our past, during exile, so much of our experience was defined by somebody else. I'm not exactly quoting, but I'm channeling how Elie Wiesel moves forward in that talk. He said, I don't want anyone to tell us when to be happy or when to mourn. We do that as free Jews with full dignity. It's what Zionism was all about, reclaiming the right to tell our own story. It's why it hurts so much. But it's what we have to reclaim. So I know I just went deep and maybe a little bit dark, but remember our theme is gratitude. Look at all those upon whose shoulders we stand. Not the sadness of the story, though of course it's there. And not the sadness of this moment, though of course it's here. Look at the good work we get to do in the world. I mean, I'm looking at all of you, you're looking at me. I have a better deal. We're beautiful. Just take a second and look, really, I encourage you, look around the room for a second. We're not all the same kind of Jew, but we all showed up, we all care. That's gorgeous. We say in tradition, Berov ha'am hadrat melech, when more of us show up, that's glory to God. Just for showing up. And it's not a given that we would be here to show up, is it? What a profound gift it is to be alive as a Jew. I want to say it again. I don't think I said this enough before the 7th. I have learned to say this to myself, to my children, and to anybody else. What a profound gift it is to be alive and aware and grateful as a Jew. The world is not reminding our people how beautiful we are. But we are beautiful, and we should remind ourselves of that. Not let someone else tell us our story. So I'll tell you 2 short stories with which I'll close. One of them you might have seen. Again, it doesn't come from the lightest of environments, but just 6 days ago at the remote junction in Jerusalem, there was a shooting. You might have seen the dash cam footage. It was on a lot of social media, a lot of news outlets had it. But because of the vantage point, you could see many things very clearly, and it should never have happened. And it happened, and we lost people. We lost sisters and brothers. The person who stopped the terrorist was a Haredi enlisted person in Tzahal, part of the Hashmona'i brigade. Thank God for his heroism. Thank God for attempts to bring our people together in defense of our people. But what you see if you watch the footage, and I'm not telling you to go look, this is not a gratuitous thing. The crowd is running from what's happening. You can see that. Right in front of the camera is a taxi. And you see the crowd running, and the driver comes out of the taxi. And you expect, as anyone would, that they would join the crowd and just run. But he doesn't. He calmly walks around the back of the cab, opens the back door. As he opens the back door, the window right above his head, just one step away, is blown out by a bullet. He doesn't flinch. He opens the door and he helps an elderly passenger who is taking a ride with him in his cab and walks her very gently and very slowly to shelter. Ma yafa Yerushatenu. What incredible heritage we have. We shouldn't be in moments like those, but even when we're in moments like those, look how beautiful we are. We take care of each other. Last story. So my name is Menachem. I don't have an English name, never did. That's caused me some problems in the United States. Not the hardest of problems, but no one can say my name. I mean, you can say my name, but coffee places can't say my name. So I did it for a very short period of time just because I was tired of respelling my name and clarifying. The best misheard spelling I ever got was mensch on my coffee. They didn't even know what they were saying, but I was so happy. So I once or twice used a passing name and felt very ashamed of myself. I did, but it was easier for the moment. And then I was in Jerusalem at the Malcha Mall when it was not first built, but soon after, and Cafe Aroma, great coffee place. You know. I hope you know. If not, go to Israel just for aroma. It will strengthen your Zionism. And the barista says, Ich korim lecha, what's your name? I said, Menachem. She said, Ma ta'otzeh, what do you want? I said, Café hafuch, which no one says in Israel anymore. They say cappuccino, but it's Café hafuch. So she says into the mic for the kitchen behind her, Café hafuch le Menachem. And I burst into tears because I don't have to live in translation anymore. It taught me a lot about being proud of my name. Since the 7th, I haven't been less proud. I've been more proud of how we show up. The Federation's brought, I think it was 1 out of every 12 Jews in the world was in Washington, D.C. to rally for our people. But there are moments where I still feel the impact of this change, this hard change that we're all going through. So, in advance of this talk that my teacher, my friend, invited me to share with all of you, I went to get a haircut. Friday. I had already written what I was going to say. Wanted to look nice. I didn't have an appointment, walked in, new guy's going to do my hair, and he says, "What's your name?" Just for a second, I hesitated. He had an accent. I didn't know where it was from. I'm not judging him for having an accent, but I did quiver for a second. Just, epigenetic trauma is a real thing. It's in there somewhere, even when I'm not aware. And I said, Menachem. And I'm going to really butcher his accent. I'll tell you where he's from later. He said, Menachem, that's an Arabic name, right? I said, no, it's Hebrew. And he says, Hebrew! I was a refugee, and Hebrew helped me get here, resettled me. Now, he's Venezuelan. I can't possibly do the accent right. He said, Hebrew, H-I-A-S, Hebrew. Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society. And I looked him in the eyes and I said, me too. 4 generations ago. If I hadn't said my Hebrew name, I never would have known how proud I should be. And how grateful he was. And then how grateful I was for how grateful he was. Which is how grateful I was. Because it's a good thing to pay forward, and it equips us to move forward in the world, not only with that gratitude, which is its own value, but gratitude is a motivator. And we could all use a little bit of motivation. So I would encourage you just for a second. You should feel my gratitude for your commitment to this community. This community helps. It helps Am Yisrael, it helps Medinat Yisrael, it helps the world. And you should feel proud of yourself. You should say your names with pride. If you have an English name, choose the Hebrew one for a second. Say it with pride in your own heart. If you're feeling like the world is burdensome, and it is, sit up straight anyway. Be proud of yourself. Go into the Chagim like a lion. We are told in the beginning of the Code of Jewish Law, most people don't know this, the Jewish law begins with the command how to wake up. Yitgaber Adam Ka'ari Baboker. A person should get up like a lion in the morning, which involves a whole lot of stretching and yawning if you've watched lions, but it also means equipped to move through the world. So I want to bless you. I want to bless me. We are a week or so away from the beginning of our year. It should be a better year than you expect. It should be a year of health and of safety for you and your family, for our people and for the world. People should learn kindness again. That should affect you in all the best of ways. And we should practice this gorgeous value of Hakarat Tov, because there is no question that gratitude is a force for good. Another way of saying that is, look how amazing our work in the world is as a community. We are a force for good. How grateful we should be. Because we are Hebrew. It's a good thing to be. It's nice to be told it, but it's really important to know it. Shana Tova.
Thank you, folks. Thank you. Menachem Mensch. I like that one. That's pretty good. So, any comments, questions? Okay, Rabbi Creditor will be here a little bit. I also invite you to purchase a copy of his book. Tell me about the October 7th book, the title?
Am Yisrael Chai is the one I would encourage.
Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. It really will add meaning to Yamim Noraim, to Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. It will also add meaning to our commemoration of October 7th. It's a little book, has some really powerful stories on Amazon, easy to buy. I encourage you to do it.